Hello, this is Dr. Do again. This video is outside of medicine. Continue to read Psalm. I had two previous videos on Psalm 107, start book 5. So I'm going to continue to finish Psalm 107. If you recall, the previous two videos of this 107 talk about the praising the God and the miraculous deeds God has done to the Israelites, at the same time counting what the people have done to disobey the God and to stay away from the God, and each time back and forth. When they have miserable time, they just come back to call loud to pray, and when God saved them again, they forgot about forgot about the God. And then so that's basically the first two videos of this 107. So I'm going to continue to read. I'm going to read. He turned rivers into a desert, flowing springs into thirsty ground, and fruitful land into a salt waste, because of the wickedness of those who lived there. He turned the desert into pools of water, and the parched ground into flowing springs. There he brought the hungry to live, and they founded a city where they could settle. They sowed fields and planted vineyards that yielded a fruitful harvest. He blessed them, and their numbers greatly increased, and he did not let their herds diminish. Then their numbers decreased, and they were humbled by oppression, calamity, and sorrow. He who pours contempt on nobles made them wander in the trackless waste, but he lifted the needy out of their affliction and increased their families like flocks. The upright see and rejoice, but all the wicked shut their mouths. Whoever is wise, let him heed these things and consider the great love of the Lord. So this is the last part of Psalm 107. So this is the continuously to list out whoever those people will whoever follow the God instructions will be blessed, and those who stay away from God instructions will be continually to live in miserable. So and at the same time counting how powerful this God is, use the nature fact actually. He turned rivers into a desert, flowing springs into thirsty ground, and fruitful and into a salt waste, because of the wickedness of those who live there. So if you recall the two cities, the Sodoma and Gomorrah, those cities used to be people so vigorous, so aggressive, and eventually God brought the fires on those ground. And so this I think is just the same idea here. God can really build and also can destroy. So turn the river into desert, dry the rivers, and also the spring of the water into the thirsty ground, and fruitful land into salt waste, and because of wickedness of those who live there. He turned the desert into pools of water, and parched the ground into flowing springs. On the other hand, in the desert he can turn into oases, and the scorchy land into the springs. There he brought the hunger to live, and they found a city where they could settle. So in those remote, deserted area, if God going with those people, they start to rebuild and to become a city that people can dwell there. They sowed fields and planted vineyards, and they yielded a fruitful harvest. He blessed them, and their numbers greatly increased, and he did not let their herds diminish. I think if you recall, they're probably this referring to some time when they were wandering in desert or in Egypt. Pharaoh gave them the land, which really discarded by the Egyptians only for those people tending the herds. So then a kind of deserted area, but they built and they reproduced and increased, multiplying the numbers. They grew. By the time of Moses, from Joseph to Moses, they grow the number of countless. So that's probably referring this. And then their numbers decreased, and they were humbled by oppression, calamity, and sorrow. He who pours contempt on nobles made them wander in a trackless waste. So, but after that, there another time in the dark, they oppressed and calamity and sorrow, because they pushed away the chosen people. But he lifted the needy out of their affliction and increased their families like flocks. At the same time, he chose another group of people to increase numbers. The upright see and rejoice, but all the wicked shut their mouths. So the upright continue to rise and with joy, and the wicked just keeping silent. Whoever is wise, let him heed these things and consider the great love of the Lord. Whoever consider wise in the name of God and the sight of God, so let him heed these things. Let him to build, to pile up these good things, to bring the benefits of God to the people, and consider the great love of the Lord. So consider not as the persons did, but as the great love from God to choose the right people, to heed the benefit, to pile up the benefit from God, bring the benefit from God to the people. So this is Psalm 107. It's a kind of long, but the tone is, you can feel, it's really the tone of center. It's just one tone to praise God, and also to calling loud. Do not follow the ancestors. During those times, forget about God, forget about the miraculous deed by God. So this is about Psalm 107, listed all of those past times, when the time flourished and God blessed them, or when the time that even nature was in the hand of God, turned the river into desert, on the other hand, turn the desert into the oasis. So this is Psalm 107, and the third video on this psalm. And from this Psalm 107, I see the real. I think everybody following the same path, back and forth, to pray to God for the benefits. And when the benefits come and life improved, and forgot about the original suffering, and forgot about the God, and then coming back again. So this is the real part. And also on top of that real, see the faith. Just keep calling everybody. Do not be distracted or disrupted. The faith is continuously to pray to the God and praise the God during this dark time, or during this time when under the sunshine. So this is the Psalm 107. I'm going to stop here so you can read and interpret in your own way. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.